Speaking about WWE's treatment of LA Knight, Disco Inferno noted this on Keeping It 100. I'm worried that with LA Knight, they're not going to pull the trigger. You have a guy that's hot, and you don't pull the trigger. They have to pull the trigger right now. The gun is loaded with this guy. You know, it's like he's hot. The people want to hear him cut promos. But when was the last time he had a promo in front of the people? It's been like 3 or 4 weeks now. And that's what is getting him over. It's almost like they're literally trying to make sure he does not get over, is what it looks like. It appears that WWE legend Abdul the Butcher has fallen on hard times as a GoFundMe was opened for him that reads, "Hi everyone, my name is Essa Jeffries and I'm fundraising for my godfather, who is not only a legend and Hall of Fame professional wrestler, but a great humanitarian that has spent most his life in his charitable efforts to help his family, friends, the homeless on the streets of Atlanta, the elderly, handicapped, those hospitalized, and different organizations here in Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, his name is Abdul the Butcher. My godfather is 81 years old, on a fixed income, handicapped, walking on a walker, in need of a hip replacement, and due to his condition and the COVID-19 pandemic situation, he just cannot get around to make the money he is used to making. He seriously is in need of your help, and I need you to help me to hire 2 attorneys for 2 different cases. Though Abdul's highest level of school is the 2nd grade, his natural genius and strong will to be successful helped motivate and inspired him to overcome his schooling handicap. This man has worked hard most of his adult life to carve out and build his professional wrestling career, and have been taken total advantage of by his wife and her brother, just to find out that his wife owns all of the assets he worked most of his life for, and he owns nothing. His wife is from Korea, and he met her in Japan. She came here with absolutely nothing. While he traveled the world working hard, making a living, she and her brother obviously were taking advantage of him till, or even his first home he purchased here in Atlanta, Georgia, way before he met her, he recently found out that the deed was changed to both their names without his knowledge and signature, and now she wants a divorce, and this is only touching the surface of his story. He has no money to hire an attorney to properly represent him. He also needs an attorney to represent him in a civil case here in Fulton County, Georgia, brought here from Canada, in which he was not able to attend court in Canada due to the condition of his hip by doctor's order. He has been desperately trying to seek attorneys to properly represent him in both cases, but the attorney fees are very expensive, in which he cannot afford due to his fixed income. The judge in a civil case gave him 60 days to get an attorney, and he needs a divorce attorney ASAP because he has a hearing in February and attorneys need time to prepare each case. My goal is to raise $50,000. Abdullah is in need of your prayers and support, and I promise you that every penny of your donations will go towards his attorney fees. Thanking you in advance for your time, efforts, and your support. God bless. Speaking about joining Legado del Fantasma in WWE, Zelina Vega mentioned too out of character. I mean, I was surprised, if I'm being honest. It was a surprise for me because it wasn't exactly the plan. It only became the plan literally the day before. But for me, I was like, okay, this is like a whole new challenge. Of course, for me, I'd love to see all of us draped in gold because that's the vision, that's the goal right there. Recalling her WrestleMania match with Becky Lynch and Lita against Damage Control, Trish Stratus revealed that she was hampered by an injury. Telling Busted Open Radio, "I had a few obstacles. I had a partially torn hamstring, by the way. Nobody knew about that. It was just like WrestleMania, let's just go. This time I had this injury, so I was a little unsure going in, but man, there's something about feeling at home. It's like riding a bike. As you guys know, when we get back in there, your body's like, I got this, just do your thing, and it just flows. I've kept my health and fitness up, and that always plays into it as well. I am good in those moments, right? I work well under pressure. I always feel like I have to prove myself every time I go out there. So that was like a big driving force for me that evening, was to go out and prove that I belong in this match, that I belong with these other talented women, and that I still belong here, period." Touching on the possibility of AEW splitting their roster with a Saturday television show, Eric Bischoff said this on his Strictly Business podcast. Good luck. You deserve whatever you get. Turner, you're a freaking mess. You're not the company you used to be. There are executives in that company that couldn't find their ass with both hands and a compass when it comes to making a good decision if this is the direction that they're going. Good freaking luck. If these reports that the show is being created just to help keep people on the AEW roster away from each other, but get them all on television during the same week are true, then there are some dumbasses in Turner Broadcasting right now. If this is how things play out, then AEW is a joke, and so is Turner. Responding to reports of not taking advice from veterans, Hangman Page said this on Instagram. The reports that I don't take advice have been greatly exaggerated, perhaps by no more so than me. Advice and feedback, particularly from those who have come before, have always been and always will be welcomed and appreciated. My self-deprecating and dry insistence otherwise just comes from a place of being more personally interested in wrestling as an art than a sport. It would have been hollow for Picasso to try to paint a Mona Lisa. I kind of thought I'd have been asked about it by now and could have clarified. I just wouldn't want any of the older generation, especially those who work with us, is vital and unknown to fans, to feel that their wisdom is dismissed. I am also still in search of the cheese puffs. Let me know if you find them. Thank you. Explaining why he is shutting down his podcast, DXhar said on FTR, "When we started this podcast, we just wanted to do good for wrestling. I was looking forward to, and I still did, looking forward to bringing my thoughts on psychology, in-ring action, and what I thought was good wrestling, my love for Bret Hart, and break down some of the things that we had done in our career and some of our biggest moments. Never in a million years, I knew that we probably would ruffle a few feathers. I know that I can. The only thing I should apologize for is how the journalists and the news sites took a section of something I said and made it seem like I was such a bad human being. I want to apologize to not only my fans, I want to apologize to the people who already didn't like me and fans of, for example, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, fans of MJF, or anybody else who I may have upset. I want to apologize to them because I never wanted you to hate me so much that you would say some of the things you said to me. Going into this podcast, I never thought that would happen, and I hate that it happened. Again, I thought I was way more mentally tough than I am, but I admit that I'm not. And I don't think I can handle some of the things that are said. I also don't know if I want my daughter 10 years from now to read some of the things that are said about me, but ultimately, we all wanted to do good for wrestling, and I don't think that this podcast, as much as we tried, as hard as we tried, I don't think the podcast was reflecting that for whatever reason. As Seth Rollins apparently walked out on the Raw after WrestleMania, presumably due to creative changes during the show, this was said about him having backstage heat by Sean Ross Sapp. Seth Rollins and WWE have no issues based on those we spoke to. When it comes to a WWE return for Alexa Bliss, Steve Carrier reported that we asked around about Alexa Bliss, and we were told that despite all the hope in the world from fans that she will be back soon, there are no current plans. With WWE Stars returning to streaming on platforms like Twitch, this was said by Fightful regarding the cut the company takes from talent. We're told the WWE split of the new Twitch deal is very low, in the single figures. Explaining why he did not end up having a match at WrestleMania this year, Stone Cold Steve Austin told Sports Illustrated, "I haven't spoken to this, but I'll give you the story. I met with some people from WWE. We talked about the possibility of me wrestling at WrestleMania 39. The biggest thing in my mind was the presentation and what kind of match it was going to be. Going back to 38, the way the KO thing was presented, I love KO. I turned that down 3, 4, 5 times until the creative finally came to what it ended up being. I didn't want it quite constructed as a real match per se. I needed something that could turn into one, and it did, but I think that's why we got away with it. The Dallas crowd was very receptive. I hadn't been around, so the timing was right. But to do a proper match, I'd have to be in off-the-charts shape. I told them, and this is the exact truth. I said, guys, I'm just fixing to go into production on this show, Stone Cold Takes on America, and until we start production, I don't know what my life looks like. I can't commit. Sure enough, there were technical issues before we finished. I was supposed to finish a month before we did. There's no way, with the schedule I was doing, driving an RV all over God's creation, doing all I was doing, that I would be ready. I had two 30-pound dumbbells, a 45-pound sandbag, and a 25-pound kettlebell. Working 15 hours a day, then getting in a 30 or 40-minute workout, that doesn't get you ready for WrestleMania. I was really protected at WrestleMania 38. This time, that wasn't going to be the case. That was a true statement. Until this show was over, I couldn't commit. Touching on the merger between WWE and UFC, John Morrison said this about WWE on the MMA Hour. I think there's a hiring freeze right now. I think they're going to end up letting a bunch of guys go. I think salaries are going to get cut. I'm really glad AEW is around to balance that out a little bit, because if they weren't, there would be no leverage and nowhere else to go, and WWE and UFC would be this weird monopoly that just wrings the money out of the livelihood of the fighters and wrestlers, and I always think that sucks. During that same interview, Morrison said this about a potential WWE comeback. I hate that place, but sure, if they called me, I'd go back. Why do I hate it? Because it's your dream. It's what I've watched as a kid, and then you show up and you want to live your dream and do the things that you've dreamed of doing, but it's a bastardized version of what you want to do. That was my experience. It's not for everybody. I kind of exaggerated the hate thing to make a little joke, but sure, I'd go back. I tried not to burn any bridges. I love the roster there. I love a lot of the people there. I love the roster of AEW. Tony I like a lot. Vince I actually like a lot too. I like all the minds in professional wrestling. The place that I go next, I really want to have a good, honest talk with whoever's in charge. Whether it's Vince, Tony, the number one in charge of WWE, UFC, the merger, or Nick Khan, or whoever that might be, and find out exactly what they have planned for me, and hopefully they're honest. If I don't like that, I'll probably not go, and if I do, I will. That's more important than the money for me right now. Giving an update on Bobby Roode, who hasn't wrestled for WWE since June, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said, "For those asking about Bobby Roode, he's been sidelined for a year, but didn't get his fusion until late last year. He's still expected to be out quite some time." With AEW looking to re-sign a former world champion, it was said that Fightful Select has learned that Adam Hangman Page and AEW were in the process of working towards a potential new contract. Hangman Page was not only one of the original signings, but one of the people involved with announcing the formation of the company on January 1st, 2019, though he wasn't given executive vice president status. Negotiations started fairly recently, and there doesn't seem to be much of a timetable on when that could get done. Hangman Page has the same rep as Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, as the Elite have been in the process of negotiations regarding extending their deals of late. Explaining the current situation regarding Ronda Rousey's injury, the Wrestling Observer newsletter stated, "The Rousey and Baszler chase of the women's tag title is on hold because Rousey is still out of action with her broken forearm. She did WrestleMania because it was WrestleMania in Los Angeles, but was clearly not ready and still isn't ready to return. It was noted to us that her mentality regarding her injury was basically F it. She's doing WrestleMania no matter what, basically because of her mentality from both herself and her mom regarding competing in real sports while injured." While we tend to see NXT call-ups to the main roster during the draft in WWE, this was noted about it going the other way by Ringside News. The WWE draft opens up a lot of possibilities, especially with every eligible superstar up for grabs. We were able to confirm that no main roster superstar is going to NXT as a part of the draft. Talking about his wife, Mickie James, Nick Aldis said this to PW Mania about her recovery after she had to relinquish her Impact Knockouts title due to injury. She is doing well. I wouldn't want to put a number on it percentage-wise. She is certainly not in any pain or discomfort anymore with her rib. It was just in a very awkward spot, which made it difficult to heal and made it difficult for her to avoid aggravating it, so it took a bit longer than we anticipated for it to heal. But now it looks good. It looks like she'll be cleared within weeks. For the Wrestling Observer newsletter, this was revealed about how much Goldberg made for his matches in Saudi Arabia with WWE. Goldberg made so much money for so few matches in his WWE deal, reportedly $2 million for each of his Saudi Arabia matches, and for AEW, that kind of money per match simply isn't cost effective. Giving an update on the status of Matt Jackson's current injury, the Wrestling Observer said, Matt Jackson did far more than anyone expected, including a series of Northern Light suplexes on the floor in the brawl on Dynamite this week. He was doing both PRP and stem cell treatments on the arm, and the doctors said how great it was looking so quickly after the injury. Platelet-rich plasma therapy uses injections of a concentration of a patient's own platelets to accelerate the healing of injured tendons, ligaments, muscles, and joints. On Busted Open Radio, AEW President Tony Khan was asked about the issues between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker playing out on All Access, as he said this about them ever possibly getting along. Well, we'll have to see. Thunder Rosa is not clear to return to the ring yet. When she is, certainly we'll welcome her back with open arms in AEW, and it has been an interesting situation. Some of that stuff, I think, should stay behind closed doors, but that's where All Access does give fans a great chance to see what happens behind the scenes. So, we'll have some more All Access taking a look at what happens backstage when Thunder Rosa comes back to AEW. I know that the locker room and Thunder Rosa at times have had some stuff. I also think that that should be largely between everyone that was in the room. There is a point of All Access where I have to make a decision and say, okay, this is as much access as anyone who is backstage would reasonably get. So you'll see me making some tough choices about what we do and don't show. I do think that in the future, Thunder Rosa is a great wrestler and has been a great champion in AEW. I look forward to having her back, and she's done a lot of the things we would ask on the path to return and try to make amends with some people, but there are some things you can't amend. There are some people that are never going to get along. There are some people that are never going to be friends. Dr. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are not going to ever be friends, and they are not ever going to get along. As for what the future is with them I would say it's probably going to be an intense rivalry for as long as both of them are wrestling. These are not two people that are ever going to be buddies, but it's something to follow for sure. Thunder Rosa, we look forward to having her back in the ring. Yesterday, video showed Ted DiBiase Jr. leaving jail as he was bonded out after being charged with conspiracy, wire fraud, and money laundering in relation to Mississippi's largest welfare embezzlement scam. Apparently, his father and WWE Hall of Famer posted a meme that was found to be in poor taste given the current situation with his family. With him deleting the post in writing, I'd like to personally issue an apology for an untimely post that was published through my social media channels earlier today. As you know, I try to share nostalgic memories from my wrestling career as a way for fans to revisit their childhood memories. Since my time is limited due to travel requirements, the posts are approved by me ahead of time and scheduled for a later date. Our family is currently navigating a difficult season, and while we cannot speak to these events publicly, we appreciate your prayers during this time. Please know that I truly appreciate the love and support from the fans. You have been a part of our family for more than 40 years, and for that I can never thank you enough. Touching on the health of Jerry Lawler, PW Insider said that WWE Hall of Famer Jerry Lawler continues to recover from his stroke. He is pulled out of next week's Chiller Theater convention in New Jersey as he's just not up for 3 days of appearances, but we were told he's been making slow but sure strides in the right direction. Lawler is slated for this July's Gathering 4 convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he will reunite with Austin Idol and Tommy Rich for fan photo ops, recreating that late 1980s Memphis feud. Giving an update on AJ Styles following his injury last year, PW Insider noted that we've been asked a lot about AJ Styles. He was not around WrestleMania weekend, and we are told it's just a matter of him being cleared to return from the broken ankle he suffered in December and being ready to perform. We haven't heard he's been at the WWE Performance Center or anywhere else on the road for the company. With it previously reported by the Wrestling Observer that WWE star Naomi was deemed to be too expensive for Japanese promotion stardom, she has now responded to this report online by simply saying it's not true. With talks of a CM Punk return to AEW being in the works, a meeting between Punk and Chris Jericho is reportedly going to be taking place, as Wade Keller of PW Torch said. Among the people I've talked to, there's not a high level of confidence that the meeting is going to go well, that it could make things worse, but maybe not. Maybe things will work out, but people who have been around Punk, know people who have known Punk for a very long time, are not optimistic that FTR mediating a meeting between Jericho and Punk is going to lead to progress. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.